What's going on, people? We are Tottenham TV here, back here with another update video. The Euro 2020 is coming to a close with the semi-finals and the final on Sunday. So this time next week, we will know the winner of the Euros, and then we can properly concentrate on Tottenham stuff. But I mean, it's been a great tournament, hasn't
Someone
it?
has to concentrate on Tottenham stuff. The board don't seem to be doing that. But yeah, look, it's been unbelievable so far. England, only team ever to get to a semi-final without conceding a goal. All of a sudden, the goals are starting to flow as well. Harry Kane's got 3 now. Obviously, Raheem Sterling's been one of the stars of the tournament for England as well. So it's been a great tournament so far for England. But let's just hope we can get over the line this time. So many false dawns and semi-final defeats. If we can just get to that first, it would be our first final since '66, wouldn't it? So that would be an incredible, incredible moment.
Yeah, it definitely will be. It definitely will be. And tickets for the event on Wednesday night is completely sold out. It's unbelievable, the numbers that we've got. So I'm really looking forward to Wednesday night. But look, this is a Tottenham update. So let's get straight into it. First one is from Dario AS, and he says Fabio Paratici is pushing to sign Miralem Pjanic, who could be available on a free transfer this summer. Followed up by Mundo Deportivo, who says Paratici wants to bring Pjanic to Tottenham. And Tuto Mercato Web this morning say Tottenham and Man United are interested in signing Pjanic, but the player would like a return to Juventus.
Yeah, it's 3 not the most reliable sources, but look, I think he's a class player. He's been a class player for a long time, Pjanic. He's kind of like, I feel like he could have a little late renaissance in his later career, a bit like Pirlo had after he got released by AC Milan, and then he went to Juventus, and then all of a sudden became better than he ever was. And Pjanic has had a bit of a lull past couple of years, but I think for sure he still has so much quality in him. Hasn't quite worked at Barcelona, but he's got unreal ability, passing range, long range shots, ability to control a game. And even at 31, he's the kind of player who may not need if he's got players around him who can do the running for him. He might not need ground to cover, and he can just concentrate on what he's good at. And maybe he can be like a Ruben Neves for us. And he's not the quickest, he's not the most mobile, but he does an unbelievable job in the centre, and that's what probably he could do for us.
Would you prefer a Pjanic or a Ruben Neves?
I would obviously prefer Neves because he's younger, he's got more scope to develop, and he's probably got he's got a lot more years left in him.
And obviously Nuno knows him really well as well.
Exactly. So Pjanic is probably a better player right now, but yeah, I think I'd rather go for Neves if I was given a choice. But Neves is going to be a lot more money probably than Pjanic. He's probably
also 1 year left in his contract, but Pjanic is they're talking about free transfer.
Yeah, that's
but
what
Pjanic might offer. Might command more wages.
That the wages will definitely be high, and it could be a free transfer. But at 31 years of age, you want to give a player like that high wages? Probably not. It's probably not where you want to be putting the money.
Do you not think a Ruben Neves could be available for around 25 million, something like that?
Depends who's in for him. If there's competition, then they'll drive up the price. But if we got a free run at him, then yeah, about 25 million.
All right.
But I reckon it'll be more like 35.
Let's move on. Alfredo Pedula, he's a journalist from Gazzetta IT, and he says Tottenham are interested in signing Lazio forward Joaquin Correa, who is also being tracked by Paris Saint-Germain. So, that probably chucks that one out the window then,
definitely.
if that's true.
Kind of sounds like, how many times do you see this? An agent just puts Tottenham in the name to drive a bid from someone else. That a player we're never interested in. It happens so often. Look, Joaquin Correa has been decent for Lazio. Never quite... He's kind of been a decent foil for Immobile, but he's never quite been anywhere as good as Immobile up front. He's a tricky customer, but he's not one that he's got bags of goals or anything like that. Maybe he's a player that Paratici sees as someone with scope who's not he sees not being Lazio not using him right, and maybe if Spurs use him in a different way, they can get more out of him, something like that. But I wouldn't be too excited to remember Joaquin Correa. I think he's a decent player, but he's not like anything that could improve massively in what we've got.
Yeah, but I think the thing is that if we are going to be signing these I wouldn't say unknown quantities, but players that you don't see week in, week out from Italy, that we don't think are that kind of the top-notch players. Surely we got to trust a guy like Fabio Paratici, who knows a lot about Serie A.
look, if he really wants him and thinks he could be the guy to take us forward, then I'm not going to be like, oh, I'm not going to start tweeting hashtag no to Correa like some people. But like, I just don't like of right now from what I see of Correa. I don't think he's anything special. But I'm happily be proved wrong. I'd rather spend the money though on more established talents like I don't know, Marcus Thuram or something like that. I like him a bit more.
All right, let's move on. This is from the Manchester Evening News. They say Manchester United have inquired about Tottenham midfielder Harry Winks, but is regarded as a backup option. And then Ali Gold went on to say about Harry Winks, he said Tottenham are open to realistic offers for Harry Winks this summer. What do you think a realistic option is for Harry, like a fee for Harry Winks is?
I think you're looking at least 20 million, I think. At least. I think between 20 and 25 is a realistic. I don't think we're not
40 that was banded around.
Yeah,
last
we're not
season,
getting over. I can't see anyone stumping up over 25 right now, especially in the current market, and especially with the season Winks has just had. I don't think anyone's stumping up that cash. So I think Spurs will probably look for like 25. I think clubs are more likely to bid in the region between 20 and 25, somewhere like 22 or something like that.
I'll take that.
So that's what I think is realistic for someone like Harry Winks. You know, you still got to remember he's at a decent age. He's an England international, so you still got to remember he's still got some value. He's got a few years left on his contract as well. So that's what I think the price would probably be for him. I wouldn't even be surprised if Levy starts the offer at like 30 million and then gets dragged down from there. That's what I see Levy doing. But I have a feeling he's still going to remain at Spurs this summer. I have a feeling he's not going to leave. I think
he's definitely not. I mean, he's definitely not going to Man United. That's for sure.
No, it's all rubbish. That's just to drive offers from somewhere else. Like, you know, I think the links to Villa are more realistic. But I think Sissoko is much more likely to leave this summer, and whether we will shift both of them, I don't know, remains to be seen. But I think if it's only going to be one of them, I think it's more likely to be Sissoko. Yeah,
I would agree with that. And I think that in terms of a Harry Winks, if he is to go, I really can see him going to like a Villa or a Southampton or a team like that, because I think he can really thrive in one of those teams.
Well, did Villa sign Ward-Prowse in the end, or that's still in the works? I can't remember.
Villa signed Ward-Prowse?
I'm asking, did they? Because I remember they were bidding for him.
I didn't even hear about that.
Yeah, they bid for him, and it was close. I can't remember if they actually got over the line or not. But if they did, I could definitely see them going for Winks as a replacement for Ward-Prowse.
Interesting.
I can't remember if they actually got over the line. One sec. No, they haven't. They didn't actually. It's still in the works. They're still in the works, that deal.
Well, if that falls through, then they could go in for Harry Winks, and if it doesn't fall through, then Southampton could potentially come in for him.
I think one of those clubs could easily come in for him.
All right, let's move on. Sky Italia are saying that Arsenal have now joined the race to sign Takehiro Tomiyasu. Obviously, it was widely reported last week how he could be joining Spurs. Romano was saying last week how he thinks he is going to join Spurs. But now apparently Arsenal have come into the running.
Yeah, I reckon it's one of those. Put Arsenal's team in the mix to fasten the deal up. Like, hurry up. Maybe Levy's digging his heels. Levy's negotiating. Oh, I want 200 grand off here. I want that add-on, all this kind of stuff. They're like, look, Arsenal are involved. You better hurry up, or Arsenal are going to get him. And they're like, all right, Levy's like, I don't want Arsenal to get him. Yeah. So I think it looks like, to me, that seems like it smells of a sales tactic from Bologna. But I might be wrong, but that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. But what better team to use than Arsenal in that kind of thing to Daniel Levy?
It's a bit like with...
he'll probably rush around after that.
Exactly. It's a bit like the Saliba thing, isn't it? When they all of a sudden put our name in the hat for Saliba just to rush Arsenal in.
Yeah.
That's how I feel like.
All right, let's move on. Gary Jacob from The Times talking about Pjanic Vestergaard, saying that Tottenham are in talks with Southampton to sign the defender. Obviously, he's had quite a good Euros with Denmark. Kept Joachim Andersen out the team. And obviously Andersen's one that we've been looking at for a while now. So, I mean...
That Andersen's like forever going on. Every day is like another like inching forward.
Yeah, it feels a bit like the Leandro Damião situation. But in terms of how you compare Vestergaard to Andersen, who would you prefer?
Yeah, I think right now Vestergaard's a better player. I like Vestergaard actually. I've never had a problem with Vestergaard. I think he's a good level Premier League defender. I don't think he's a defender who's going to massively improve us, but I think he's like a solid centre back, and he might be better than like someone like Sanchez or Dyer, to be honest. And he's got actually his passing range very underrated. And even if we were to place Toby with him, like I still think those long range passes you'll get that with Vestergaard, but. in his last year of his contract as well, so you're probably looking at a decent fee. 29 years old, so not like not young, but he's not exactly ready to retire just yet. He's got a few good years left in. The only thing is he's very tall, like 6'4", not the quickest, and he's shone in a back three, which Nuno might want to play, but in a back two, I don't think he's as effective as he is in a back three. But he's had a brilliant Euros. I think he's had a pretty good season as well for Southampton. I actually think he had a really good season for them. So I'm not saying like I'd like him. I like him, and I wouldn't be unhappy if we signed him. I just don't think that signing Vestergaard is going to propel us into a top 4 challenge.
Is Roden, let's say a back three of Roden, Toby, Vestergaard, does that fill you with confidence?
Well, I don't think we would sign Vestergaard and keep Toby. I think Toby's on his way. I think he would be a replacement for Toby in that kind of experienced centre-back who can have that passing range at the back. That's what I feel they're going for him. In terms of Anderson, I think Anderson he's a bit younger than Vestergaard. He has a bit of scope to be better than him, in my opinion. And he would be a bit more expensive. And even though I think Vestergaard right now is a better player, I think Anderson could potentially be a much more ready, much more better replacement for Toby than some Vestergaard potentially for long term.
Both?
I don't think we'll sign both. Well, you know what? Knowing Levy, it'll be a cheap double deal, and he might think, look, 2 centre backs, getting them in the Danish too, and that'd be that. But I'd rather get someone like Skriniar or Koundé or something like that as well, who would be much more. That would be much more in line of challenging again for those top positions. Vestergaard and Anderson, it's like they're good, but it's like, all right, looks like we're challenging for top 6 again, kind of thing.
Yeah, I can't see the Koundé deal happening. No. I really can't see it happening. I mean,
it was a pipe. I think that's always, we're never not going to spend that kind of money on. We're just not.
Look, we'll get to that in a minute, but let's go to Ali Gold and let's look at his updates, starting with Ryan Sessegnon. And he said Sessegnon will remain at Tottenham next season to play under Nuno. And apparently Nuno's tried to sign him for Wolves in the past. So it's a player that Nuno has been looking at very closely, and it's a player that he thinks he can definitely get the best out of.
Yeah, and I think Ryan Sessegnon is still... we're still waiting for him to explode, and I think Nuno just could be the perfect manager for him. I'm hoping so. You know, his wing backs. He's had a great time with his wing backs in the Premier League, Nuno, and we know Ryan Sessegnon loves to play there. So I'm hoping Sessegnon could be the perfect manager for him. So I'm looking forward to him being part of the first team next year. I think he should be. I don't think he should be out on loan again.
I agree. Ollie Skip is expected to stay at Tottenham next season, with Nuno looking to continue his development. And obviously it's a story we spoke about last week with Billy Gilmore stealing his loan move for Norwich. So, I mean, this is the thing we wanted. Is exactly what we were saying. We want Skip back.
Definitely. And I think Skip has... I think he's in for a big season. I'm really hoping that. I think... It might take him a couple months to maybe break into the team. You know, he still has to kind of earn the trust of the management staff. You know, a bit like how Kane had to do it under Poch, you know, because he always picked the early days, he was picking Soldado and Adebayor, and then he had to start. Then Kane broke into the team. I think it'll be similar with Skip. But what I think... He's going to fight tooth and nail to get in that team. He's a Spurs boy through and through. He bleeds blue and white. And he's come through our youth academy. And he's got bags of ability. And massive fans of him over at Norwich. So I'm really, really excited about the possibility of him being part of the first team next season. Yeah, and it seems as though he's got like head on his shoulders beyond his years. You know, obviously Jose Mourinho, before he left on loan, said this guy could be the captain of Tottenham one day. You know, so I'm just all for it. And look, at the end of the day, he's a young player that still needs to earn his stripes. So he's not going to come straight into the first team. He's going to need to earn it, like anyone else. So, but I back him to do that because I do think he's got the right mentality to go forward. That's what it seems like anyway. Yeah, and it'll be nice maybe to have a player who's looking to prove himself and earn his place, rather than players who are getting too comfortable and players who feel like they deserve to be in the team rather than earning it. And that's what I'm looking forward to in that aspect. The last one from Ali Gold, he says Steven Bergwijn and Lucas Moura are expected to stay at Tottenham, but Eric Lamela will look to leave Spurs this summer. Does the Lucas Moura I don't think the Bergwijn one surprises me, but does the Lucas Moura surprise you a bit? Doesn't surprise me, but I do. They say maybe because they're saying that because they don't expect the offer to come of what they want for Lucas. Because I think if we do get a good offer, we should sell. But having said that, you know, I think he's got qualities which are hard to come by. And if he can be, if Lucas can be used right, if we can hone his, I know we've been saying this since he's come in, but
there was a moment in last season where we were utilising
there's always been moments.
him.
There's been moments every season.
But it was in a different position that he hasn't really played for Spurs. In that number 10, I thought he really thrived in that number 10 last season.
No, he did, and he's a good player in his own. Like, I'm not saying he can't be good for us, and I think he's a very good squad player. And I do think that he has these abilities, which, I'm just saying, if they can be honed and directed and focused basically in the right way, he could be an extremely effective player. But he's always been down by inconsistency. He's been by a lack of thinking in the final third, bad decision making. It's plagued his whole time at Tottenham. It's what stopped him becoming an elite player, I think, throughout his career. Unfortunately,
he's got elite qualities, doesn't he?
Because he really does. He really does. There's very few players who can dribble like him, who can brush players off like him. Very few.
And that aerial ability for someone so small.
Honestly, he's Adama Traore. He's very similar to Adama Traore in that aspect, the way he can just breeze past the player and unstoppable. But maybe he can learn from what Nuno did with Adama in that season and get more out of Lucas. But if there was a good offer for me to come in for him, I would look to move him on. But I think we should demand a decent fee. I think we should demand at least 25 million. I think
that's how much we signed him for, right?
So I think that's right, because I think that's how much he's worth, and I think we might as well keep him as a squad player if we're not going to get that.
And what kind of club, what kind of caliber of club come in for him for that kind of money?
I don't think anyone in the Premier League. You're looking at
not even an Everton or someone.
Yeah, I don't think so. Maybe an Everton, because James looks like he's leaving, and they're going to have to replenish their attacking. Team.
He's better than an Iwobi. He's better than
Sigurdsson or something.
I think he's better than Sigurdsson. So I think he'd actually be better than what Everton have for the most part.
Yeah, maybe Everton might look at him, but I think Everton. I don't know. Would they want a Tottenham cast off? And I don't. Maybe they would. They probably would, to be honest.
They took enough Arsenal casts off.
Yeah, true. So maybe someone like Everton, but I think it's more likely he moves abroad.
And Lamella, where do you see him going? Back to Italy?
I think his time here is done. I think with the year left of his contract, one more year to get money for him. Another year he's had last season plagued by injuries. I mean, there's only so many. I've got no problem with Lamella as a player. I think he's always given 100% for Tottenham whenever he's been on the pitch, and I do think that he makes a good impact actually when he is on the pitch, especially as a super sub. But there's only so much you can tolerate with nearly 10 years at the club, or 8 years at the club, and he's barely plays 20 games in the season. It's like, how much can you keep compensating for that? So I think it is about time we just...
how much do you reckon we get for him?
Not much. 10 million at tops.
Why don't we use him in a make weight for the Tomiyasu deal? Because he was linked to Bologna, wasn't he, at the back end of last season?
Yeah, we should. I'll do Lamella plus a bit of money for Tomiyasu. If that's what drives the price down, it's probably a good deal. But depends if they really want, if he wants to go there. Don't know.
All right, let's move on. Fabrizio Romano talking about Jules Koundé to Tottenham, and he says it is not progressing. Both the parties are not yet optimistic.
Yeah.
And when we saw his release clause of 80 million, they're saying they'll take below that, which is probably means about 50, 60 million. It was already a no-go, wasn't it?
Of course, as soon as you see those prices, it's like, obviously, that's what's going to complicate the deal. Paying money, obviously. We're talking about Levy when everything's fine.
What did they think? He was going to be a free transfer?
That's what I'm saying. That's similar to the Conte thing, when they pull out the negotiations last minute when they realise Conte wants a lot to spend. It's like, what do you think? Obviously. What do these... I don't know what Levy expects or whatever. So... doesn't surprise me, this whole Koundé thing. Again, as I said before, I'd love him as a player. I think he's got potential to be a top class centre back. But are we prepared to sum up the cash for what you need to get these kind of players in? Are we prepared to do that? I don't think we are. So it's never going to happen.
Yeah, and if we're out the hat for Koundé, and most likely we're out the hat for Skriniar. So I mean, we're still looking at the kind of third or second tier list of players, aren't we? We're not shopping at the top table.
No,
we have never been shopping at the top table.
No.
All right, let's move on to Charlie Eccleshare, who's got some really interesting updates. The first one, he's going to say the Tottenham squad have a positive impression of Nuno Espirito Santo from conversations they've had about the former Wolves boss. So then he goes on to say, members of the Tottenham squad were excited of the talk of Maurizio Pochettino return to Spurs, but are really excited about Nuno's philosophy.
I mean, it's good to hear. I mean, I don't think the players would be unhappy already. You know what I mean? They're not going to start leaking information about being not happy with Nuno on his first day of pre-season. So nothing unexpected. But I do think it's encouraging listening, first of all, to the quotes from his assistant saying that he gets pride when his team are dominant on the ball and suffocating the opposition and not letting them get a touch of the ball and stuff like that. That's what gives him joy when he's coaching, and that's promising because that's what we want to see. We want to see what in our peak Pochettino when we didn't give teams a chance. We just absolutely suffocated them on the pitch. That was the most enjoyable part of those teams. So listening to the assistant, and I'm assuming that's Nuno's on the same page as that. It's great because the biggest fear was he was just going to be a pragmatic manager who wasn't going to be too different to Mourinho. But I always thought that was a bit of an unfair comparison. So that's encouraging first signs, but we have to wait and see how it's implemented on the pitch.
Most definitely. Some more from Charlie Eccleshare of The Athletic, and he says the Tottenham squad felt they were undercoached last season under Jose Mourinho and felt their fitness was neglected. Spurs squad want to get back to peak physical shape, and that's also following on another update that said Nuno is going to prioritise fitness first and foremost. And I think that's exactly where we were at when we were kind of at peak Pochettino. We were the fittest team in the league.
Yep.
When whatever the scoreline was going into the last 20 minutes, 10 minutes, we felt that we could get back into the game.
Yeah.
On the flip side of Jose Mourinho, whatever it was going into the last 10 minutes, we never thought that we could see out a game.
Correct. But I think it's important to note that for the last, it wasn't even the last season of Pochettino. I would say for the last 2 seasons, if you look at how much we pressed, it dropped off dramatically.
Yeah,
dramatically.
it did.
And for a manager like Poch, who was so focused on the fitness side of the game and stuff like that, if he couldn't maintain their fitness levels, it wasn't just down to Mourinho. Why? Yeah, they could argue maybe he didn't focus on fitness as much as Pochettino. That's probably true, but the fitness levels were dropping already under Pochettino. So Nuno definitely has a job on to get these guys fully focused and getting back to those peak fitness levels that they were at and the peak pressing levels, so they can be aggressive on the pitch, which we definitely did struggle under Mourinho. So I think that's definitely a promising sign, but I don't like these excuses the players it's all Mourinho's fault, we were undercoached and all that stuff. No, it was under Pochettino as well. You can't just use that excuse. So I think they need to look at themselves a lot, these players.
Yeah, and an update that came whilst Jose was our manager, it said that he kind of left them to do that on their own time and their own accord, and they just weren't doing it. So I mean, they're not babies, you know what I mean? They're professional athletes at the end of the day, and they should be looking after themselves a lot better without pressure from the top kind of thing.
Exactly, and they had the regimes under Pochettino for years. For 3 or 4 years, they were at the peak of their fitness game, so they know exactly how to do it. They're not idiots, they're not babies. They know what they were doing after years. It's not like after 3 years, Poch had to keep telling them what to do, when they knew what to do. So I'm sure Mourinho expected them to just carry that on. Mate, look, obviously he made a mistake in that, and he should have kept on them, and he should have definitely had a tighter grip on their fitness and everything like that, and that's a failing of him. You got to say that. But on the other side, the players also need to take a lot of responsibility for how they conduct themselves. And then I don't know if you have going through the Dele Alli quotes, maybe you are.
I've got that, yeah.
I will go into that in a minute then, but he says he doesn't blame anyone but himself.
We'll get into that in a minute, but let's go for the last couple from Charlie Eccleshare, and this one is links to Antonio Conte left some of the Tottenham squad fearful they would not be compatible with his tactics and philosophy.
Kind of sounds like they're fearful they're not going to be good enough.
Yeah.
Like they're fearful. Winks is like, I don't know if I'm good enough for Conte. Honestly, that's what it sounds like, screams of to me. But I think that, why wouldn't they fit in his tactics? I don't understand. Why not?
They're just scared of...
what are they scared of? They're scared they have to work too hard?
Basically.
What? They're scared that they've got the manager who just won Serie A. They're scared.
Yeah.
Well, if you're scared,
to have the best manager in world football right now.
You shouldn't be at this club if you're scared. If that prospect scares you, I don't want players who are scared to be coached by one of the best managers in European football. That makes no sense. The manager who's won the league at Chelsea, who's won the league at Inter Milan, who's won various trophies at Juventus, was Italy manager. why would you not want to? Why wouldn't you be desperate to play under him? Why would you be scared about that prospect? That doesn't seem like the mentality of players who really want to challenge for the top and actually have ambition. That sounds like a players who want it easy. They want to just challenge for European
Just
places,
coast
in Europa League or Conference League, and be happy with that. Get their wage packet, not be interested in working the extra bit to challenge really for the top things. They're still living in this reality where they were under Pochettino, Champions League club, and like they were in year out in the Champions League, and they were the shit. Like, it's not that anymore, mate. Like, it's moved on. The
stinks of mediocrity.
Exactly,
isn't it? Just stinks of it.
Like, you couldn't keep up your standards under Pochettino. You couldn't raise your game from Mourinho. Now you think, and now you're scared about Conte. It makes no sense to me. No sense.
And the last one from Charlie Eccleshare says, relations between Tottenham chairman Daniel Levy and Harry Kane are pretty much broken at this point, after Kane let it be known publicly that he wants to leave this summer. I mean, we're in for a big battle when he gets back from his duties, aren't we?
If Kane and Levy's relationship is broken, who does he still have a relationship with, Levy? I don't know. I mean, he's starting to wear thin about his relationships.
Nuno.
All it needs now is his relationship to Joe Lewis to break, and there we go. And then we're in business. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that he's probably a bit personally hurt by maybe Kane going public, I guess, because it weakens his position, weakens our position as the club, I guess, in terms of getting a fee. But he shouldn't be surprised, because this is all Levy's fault, that the way
he's let this all happen on his watch.
Exactly, it's his fault the way the. Oh, am I going to sneeze? No, I'm not. The way that it's happened, the way the club has declined. Levy has to take a large responsibility for that, and the fact that Kane doesn't want to stick around is not his own. Like, he's ambitious. He doesn't see the club heading in the right direction. None of us do. So why would he not want to leave? And Levy has to take a lot of responsibility for that. It's not. Then again, on the flip side, it's not Levy's fault. Kane signed a 6-year contract, and that he should be bound by his contract and stuff like that. That's fair enough, but. You know, Kane obviously wants to leave. He wants to be challenging at the top table. Spurs are at least a year away from that, as we know, because we're not going to be challenging for anything next season. So why would Kane want to waste yet another year of his career not winning anything, not challenging, and just looking for the Golden Boot as his only thing to challenge for?
Ballon d'Or.
And Ballon d'Or. Yeah, maybe. He's second favourite for Ballon d'Or at the moment, so that's something to aspire to. But as we've said, Kane, he likes the individual records, but that's not what he wants to end his career with. He wants to end his career with the real trophies.
Yeah, it's true.
Ain't going to do it here. It's
true, but I still think that he's going to give us one more year. Maybe not. He's not going to give us one more year, but I think we will get one more year out of him. Yeah, I genuinely believe that.
I hope so. I think so as well. I think it's too difficult right now. I do think it's too difficult, and I think he will give us another year. And even judging by what he said, even by judging just by that, I don't think it's beyond the realms of possibilities. Like, he's okay to stay another year. Because he said, like, everyone says I'm desperate for trophies and I want to win trophies, but I feel like I've got a whole career left in me. I've got another 8-9 years at the top. That's what he feels. That's how he feels his body. He takes care of himself. So no, everyone forgets he said that. Everyone just concentrates on him thinking.
They listen to what they want to listen to.
Exactly. And the fact that he said that to me kind of tells me he's not going to be forcing a move out just yet. But maybe another year he could be. But I think right now he won't be.
The way I look at it is that, we want about 150 million for him this summer. I think it drops by 50 million a year. I think by next summer, about around 100 million odd. Summer after, around 50 million odd. And then the summer after, for free, he can go.
Exactly.
I think that's the state of play right now. And I think that it makes sense for all parties for him to go next summer. We get a nice fee for him in 100 million. He gets to go, get his dream move wherever he wants to go. And look, obviously it'll pain us all when Harry Kane does leave this club. But
well, look, the dream scenario is we keep him. We try and do our best to convince him to stay. I'm saying this summer.
The way it's going.
I know. I'm just saying this summer. The fact, if we keep him, we have to show him that we're going somewhere. Maybe we can convince him that we are going somewhere off this year. That's what there should be the ambition, not to sell him next summer. That shouldn't be the ambition.
But wherever we go, we're never going to be good enough to match his ambitions in a year's time from now.
No, we won't be.
There's no chance of it.
Yeah.
That's the facts of the matter.
It's reality, I know. It's hard to take.
And let's go to some Dele Alli quotes, which we mentioned before. These are the quotes here, and he says, "The only person I blame is myself. I should be performing at a level where it's difficult not to put me in the team or not play me. Working with Mourinho was a great experience and one I learned a lot from. And then he goes on to talk about Nuno, and he says, he has done a great job at Wolves. I'm looking forward to speaking to him and working with him. He's a great manager, and it's exciting times.
Yeah, the only problem is we have to see how Nuno's going to play, but I do worry a bit for Dele, whether he'll have a place in the team with, with Ndombele there, with Lo Celso there. I feel like they're going to be more Nuno type of players.
It's a squad game, though, isn't it?
It is, of course. I'm just saying, is he going to be that star player? He says in his quotes he doesn't want to get back to the levels he was 3 years ago. He wants to be better than he was 3 years ago. And obviously I'd love for that. And that, like, he was an incredible player. He was in top form, but whether he will be given that opportunity to play his way into form remains to be seen. And he's got a big challenge ahead of him, I think, this season. He had a big challenge under Jose. Couldn't quite break into the team. Last season was an awful one for him. Really except for Europa League team, he really found it hard to get a lot of game time. And hopefully under new manager he can rediscover that and have a bit of a different relationship. But I do think he has to do more when he's given the opportunity, and hopefully he can do that.
Yeah, I mean, that's certain, and I think that he's recognising that from his quotes. And I think that, look, obviously, like with a new manager coming in, everyone's back to square one. So I think if he shows that application, shows that desire, which we know he can show, I think he will get his chance. And I think he can hold down that spot because we know he can. He can.
I think not going to the Euros would have hurt him badly.
It would have hurt him. And we could see all over social media what he's been doing over the last month. And he's been training really hard. That's what it seems like anyway, with Kyle Walker-Peters out in Dubai.
Yeah.
So if he carries on that kind of mentality, then I back him to start that role, get a role for under Nuno. That's for sure.
I hope so. I hope you're right. I just got a feeling Nuno will prefer Lo Celso and Ndombele, unless if I kind of fit all three of them in. I don't know how we can do that, but maybe. But we'll see.
But like we say, it's a squad game. It's not the same 11 week in, week out.
It's a squad game, but Nuno's known for liking a tight-knit team, isn't he? Apparently, that's what they've said. I'm not saying Dele's never going to get a look in. I'm just saying he's known to have his preferred players. So we'll see how it all plays out. But I'm hoping Dele is going to fight for his place, and I back him to earn it.
And there were some interesting quotes from Fabio Paratici last night. Who was he talking to? Damasio, was it?
He had an interview with Damasio talking about Harry Kane. He was saying, was talking to Damasio, he said, we want to keep Harry Kane at Tottenham. I've been lucky to see so many top players at Juventus, and I want to enjoy Harry Kane too. He's one of the best strikers in the world. He says, I've not had any conversations with him yet, just because I don't want to disturb him while he's at the Euros, but he's an incredible striker. So strong words there from Paratici saying we want to keep Kane. I think it's obvious. I think that's the plan for... I mean, I'm guessing that was one of his jobs once being appointed sport director, was to convince Kane not to force a move and to help keep him. And I'm glad he's coming out publicly and saying that's the position, and that's a positive thing. But obviously, as I said, during the Euros, I don't think anything's going to be decided. So I think it's a bit of a waiting game at the moment. And even then... he'll take probably at least a couple weeks break, won't he, Kane? So
yeah, and it was also interesting that report that came out that I can't remember who it was from now, but they said that every single manager that came through the door to speak about Levy, about this managerial role, was told Harry Kane will be a Spurs player next season.
Yeah,
every single one.
Yeah, that's maybe trying to convince him to. Trying to convince Kane.
It was probably the same when we brought in managers that year when Bale left. Wasn't AVB told Modric was staying or something? And then I'm not sure about that, but I know Eric Lamela was told Gareth Bale was staying, and in his opening interview was like, "Oh, I can't wait to play with Gareth Bale."
And he's like, "What? I've got the number 11. What? What do you mean? I thought Bale was staying." But yeah, that's very, very true. I think it is more likely right now he stays than not, but. We'll have to. I think again, nothing's going to be decided until after the Euros, so we'll have to wait and see.
All right. Anything else?
No, that's pretty much all he said.
All right, so there you have it. That is your Tottenham update for today. Let me know in the comments section below if you have any thoughts regarding any of the updates we brought you today. Like, subscribe, and comment. And as always, come on, you Spurs.